Hello and welcome to another episode of the Weekend Edition with myself, the WandrinDutch, and of course my awesome co-host, the General C. How are you doing today, sir? What you been up to?
Hello. Yeah, I'm not too bad. As people would know, I wasn't on the main show. Had a bit of a struggle with mental health this week, so took a few days off. Feeling refreshed now. Definitely needed it. I think everything just caught up with me. Trying to juggle multiple things at once, and that just all caught up with me. But I'm feeling better now. Get back to streaming tomorrow. Excited for that.
Awesome stuff.
Yeah, so it's been a weird week. Just good to be back podcasting now, and I'm refreshed.
Yes.
Just definitely needed to put my feet up and relax. Brain was all over the place last week.
100%.
and most of this week.
Yeah. But you haven't done little with your time because you've been playing an awesome game, and we'll obviously be talking about your impressions of that as well. You very recently and very quickly got a PlayStation 5.
Yep. I actually went on Amazon and registered for the invitation thing, and that was just taking its time. And I just went into game shopping with my dad. Decided we were going to take a trip into game, and asked them if they had any PS5s, and they had 2 left. So I was lucky to get one. So I am now officially a pony.
Woohoo! Pony Club.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting to actually get one. I thought I'd be waiting a lot longer. But yeah, if you are looking for a PS5, it's best to go into your nearest game store and ask them directly, because they don't have them out on display. You have to physically ask them. You might get lucky.
Yeah. Definitely. It's one thing I did ask, and actually game specifically said, "Oh yeah, we'll get them in quite often. It's just you just gotta ask."
Yeah, that's pretty much what they said in there. You do have to have, unfortunately, the rewards card thing that they have. Luckily, we had one that we haven't used in many, many years.
Yeah.
Because I think this was like the first time I've gone into game in close to 10 years. Most of the time I've bought consoles
Online.
in that time has been online, either through Amazon or Shop2, other places that sell consoles and games. And most of my games I play digitally nowadays, apart from on PlayStation. I've decided I'm going to get physical copies because it's cheaper to get physical copies on PlayStation than it is digital, because PlayStation kind of have a monopoly on their games, because they don't sell their codes anywhere else. You can only get digital games on the PlayStation itself, and that's kind of a ball ache, because they don't drop their prices that often, and when they do, it's not a significant price drop.
Yeah.
So,
and one thing I noticed as well, and obviously, and that was a while ago, they stopped doing digital digital codes, which is a pain in the arse for 2 reasons. Obviously, one, I prefer digital. I prefer instead of having discs lying around. The only physical discs I've got left are either my really old Final Fantasy collection, or the 3 PlayStation games I've got there that aren't digital, which is The Last of Us 1, The Last of Us 2, and Uncharted 4, which is essentially what I bought because it was on sale, and I refused to pay the full price that was on their store digitally. And you can't use, I can't even do giveaways. Like, you got a code for FIFA, which I was surprised at that it wasn't a physical disc.
To be honest, I'm actually surprised that it's a code that's got a scratch thingy on.
Yeah.
And I'll be giving that away on my stream tomorrow. Only 2 people have entered it, and one of them has not paid attention to the fact that it's UK only, and it seems like they live in Spain.
Strange.
Yeah, the code is somehow, I think it's geo-locked, right? You can't actually use a VPN to...
No, so basically the way PlayStation do it is your account is geo-locked, so no matter where you go, your account is associated to the country you're from. So you can only access the store that it's from. The only way to access the store, any other store, is to create a brand new account associated to the country that you're currently in. So it has to have an associated address.
Pretty ridiculous.
It's fucking backwards.
I'll be giving that away if no one actually enters it properly tomorrow on stream. I'll probably just give it away on Wednesday, on the Wednesday show. I'll just throw it in chat, and whoever grabs it, grabs it.
It's quite mad, to be honest. That, but I understand as well these days.
It's 2 codes actually. One's for Ultimate Team. It's again another
an add-on
scratch card thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll be giving them both away. Either tomorrow, if someone actually enters it properly. I mean, if one person enters it, they're going to be the ones that win it.
Yeah.
So
That's fair.
So yeah, if it doesn't go tomorrow, it'll go on Wednesday. I'll throw it in chat and someone can grab it if they're in the UK.
Sweet. Sweet. So you heard it there in chat. Tomorrow, if you want a copy of FIFA 23 on the PlayStation 5 in the UK only.
Yep, UK only, PlayStation 5.
I don't know. No, actually, no, Fanto, it isn't cross-generational. They've got a specific
No, it's just a
PlayStation
PS5
5.
copy.
Yeah. They've got a specific PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 4 version, and you can't play with each other or against each other if you have the opposite versions. I don't know, don't ask. It's the same on Xbox. EA is just backwards like that.
I mean, preferably, I wouldn't have even got the console that came with FIFA because I don't play FIFA.
Nope.
I'm not really into football.
Nope.
I might be wearing an American football hat, but I don't even watch that.
Yeah. It's just a cool logo.
I only bought it because it's purple and it's got a Viking on it. So.
Yeah. That's fair. But I want to get into your impressions of the system, actually, overall, and then the impressions of Spider-Man Remastered, which you've finished now. You're just mopping up the side quests.
Yeah, I'm going to 100% it again.
Overall, so far, of course, I have yet to get the PlayStation 5 myself. We know Boxy's got a PlayStation 5. We know Vin's got a PlayStation 5. But obviously yourself, you haven't played really that much on the PlayStation 4 either, or PlayStation 4 Pro.
Only
for
a few
while.
exclusives like Last of Us.
Yeah.
Not really many. I don't really play that many games on PlayStation. Only really the exclusives.
Yeah. What I did want to ask was kind of, what are your impressions, first of all, of the DualSense?
To be honest, I didn't think I was going to like it.
Yeah.
And I ended up really enjoying it. You get a little demo sort of game. It's called Astro's Playroom, I think.
Yes.
And,
it's actually apparently really good.
It's a lot of fun. It gives you a good example of how this triggers are going to be used. There's a little microphone that we all know has been memed to death with the guy blowing into it. So, so yeah, I actually really enjoyed it. I didn't think I was going to like it. I'd imagine I'd probably turn it off if I was playing a multiplayer shooter because I think it would be annoying. But in single player games, I think it's a pretty nifty little idea. It's also got a little speaker in the controller, and I think the PlayStation 4 had that.
Yeah.
So you'd hear sound effects and such come through it. Playing Spider-Man, there's not as much tension in the triggers. I don't know if that's because maybe the remaster was a last minute sort of decision. They didn't incorporate the controls properly, but it didn't feel like the triggers fought back too much when you spin a web as Spider-Man. But it did the controller was making noises like you were shooting the webs and you could hear it in the controller. It felt a bit like that too. I'm more interested to see what Miles Morales is going to be like in that department. With the fact that it was basically made for this as well as the PlayStation 4, but they probably utilized the controls more in that than they did in the remaster.
Yeah. Have you already got Miles Morales lined up as well for PlayStation 5?
Yeah, I've installed that. Probably going to try and 100% the remaster before I get onto that though, because there's some DLC that I never actually bothered to complete on the first game. I just 100%ed the main game and never really played the sub content. So I've got that to go through, and then I'll start Miles Morales. But I also did get Demon Souls.
Nice.
And I haven't even played that yet as well. I'm probably going to save that for next month, because my birthday's next month, and I'm probably going to do a stream where I do a little bit of drinking on stream. I need to figure out how I'm going to do that though, because
we both need to buy that one.
I drink every time I die because I'll be down to the end of the bottle by the end of the stream. So that's not something I can do.
So every 5 deaths.
So maybe at first I'll do 2 deaths I'll drink, and then another 2 deaths I'll drink, and then it'll just get further and further away. So 5 deaths, but there's no way I could do every death. I'll be dead by the end of the stream. I don't drink as much as I used to.
Yeah.
I bought a bottle of whiskey the other week, and that kind of messed me up. I'm trying to cut back on the drinking as I'm getting older and trying to take care of my body a bit more.
Yeah. That's fair. That's fair. But what do you then controller out the way of so far? What do you make of the system overall?
I really like the user interface. It's very different. It's something I kind of wish the Xbox did have to separate the systems.
Mm-hmm.
It's very different from a PS4 to the PS5. It's a lot cleaner, a lot smoother. Um, so yeah, I wish the newer Xbox systems had a slightly different user interface to differentiate it.
You can kind
a
of see
bit
your
more.
background as well.
Mm. Yeah, obviously each game has its like own sort of individualized background when you slide through it. The Miles Morales one has some sort of like rap music sort of in the background. Not too sure about Demon Souls to be honest. I can't remember what sort of style music plays in that. But yeah, I mean the main game I've been playing is Spider-Man Remaster. I've installed God of War 2018 on it, which I'm going to start tomorrow to
Is that the
get
stream
prepared for the
game?
new one. Yes, I will be streaming that.
Nice. Nice. I'm looking
I'll
forward
be
to that.
streaming that on Mondays and Saturdays, but I'm not going to set a time for those streams because I think schedule is kind of what messed me up as well because I was trying to constantly stick to a schedule and that just gets stressful
Yeah.
after a while.
I really, really enjoyed God of War, so I'm looking forward to you going through that and playing it to the end. Did you say you'd finished God of War 2018 yet, or?
I beat the original story, but I never did 100% or anything on that game.
Yeah.
The only PlayStation game I've ever 100%ed was Spider-Man, and I intend to do it again just because I really love that game.
That's fair. That's fair. And speaking of Spider-Man Remastered, how have you found that game then? I know there's lots of screenshots on there. I know it looks very pretty. But how do you find it?
At first, it was weird because, as you know, they changed the face of the character.
Yeah.
Peter Parker, Spider-Man. They reskinned the face of Peter Parker, so that was a bit weird and in places hard to get used to because it's so different from the version of Peter Parker we get in the PS4 version.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a bit of a shock. I mean, I'd already seen it online, but actually playing that and experiencing that yourself is a different thing.
Yeah.
So that was a bit weird at first, but I mean, essentially, it's just the same game. It's just brought up to look a little bit more pretty. The graphics are a bit better. I did mess around with the ray tracing options, and to be honest, I couldn't really tell much of a difference.
Fair.
So, yeah, so it didn't really look all that different. I guess more than anything, it just looked a little bit more clear and pretty. So I didn't really keep that on for long. I prefer my frame rate over anything else. So
Yeah.
I stuck with performance rather than fidelity. But yeah, it's Spider-Man. It's a great game. I loved it in 2016, and I loved it even more now, going for it the second time, because that's the second time I've completed it ever.
Yeah.
It felt good to go back again, especially with me feeling a bit down lately with my mental health. It was a nice pick me up to go back and play something that I really enjoyed. 2016.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And with regards, obviously, not only experiencing it on a new generation, but obviously with a different controller, with a little bit of few bit different features and things. How did everything feel that way? Was it much of an improvement? Was it easier to play with the new controller over the DS4? How did you feel on that front?
It's hard to say really because I can't really remember what it felt like to play on PlayStation 4 because it's been a while.
Yeah.
But it was a much more smoother experience. It felt more responsive in places.
Yeah.
Especially in like the button mashing prompts and moving like there's points where you have to move the left stick over to a specific location. Say there's something over here, and you have to drag it up. That felt a little bit more fluid.
Right.
Because I remember that being a bit of a pain in the ass on PlayStation 4. I failed a few times on doing that in specific places on the PlayStation 4. So those are really the only things that are really memorable to me, because I found them annoying in the original game. So they were a little bit more smoother here.
Sweet. So overall impressions, are you happy with what you've played on so far of the system? How do you find the system in general so far? Is it something that you're looking forward to diving more into, or?
I kind of wish the system was smaller. It's a bit of an eyesore.
Quite big.
It's a beefy boy. I would pick it up, but it's plugged in.
Yeah.
And I'd probably break my arm trying to pick it up one-handed.
Yeah, it's a bit
big.
It's a bit of a size.
Yeah. I'd imagine if you had this in like a living room, it would be a talking piece. People would come in and be like, if they wasn't aware of games consoles, or that they didn't know what a PlayStation 5 looked like, they'd probably look at it and go, what the hell is that? They'd probably assume it was like an air conditioning unit or something like that. It's a bit of an eyesore, but it's not too bad. Seeing pictures of it online, I always thought, how would you like fit that in your like modern home?
Yeah.
It looks too futuristic for a modern home.
Would you be looking at getting some of the pink or purple plates or whatever they've got, or?
I have a few ideas, and I think I'll be sending my plates your way at some point.
Yes. And what are those ideas?
Yeah. Probably themed to my avatar style, pink and purples.
Nice.
Some artwork on that. I'm sure I'll get Sean LeBrie to come up with something cool.
Yes.
I'll get that sent your way.
That'll certainly be very interesting. Most definitely. I'm to be honest, I'm looking forward to picking up PlayStation 5. It's gonna have to wait a little bit for me. Few things.
I guess that is one thing I do like about the PlayStation 5. The fact that the plates are interchangeable. Yeah, they're pretty expensive, like 60 quid for a new set of plates. But the customizability options there to take those plates off and paint them with whatever design you could come up with would be something really cool. Not something you can really do easily with the Series X. It takes a bit more work, because you have to like physically take the console apart, right, to do that. I know you've got your custom Hellblade console, and I can't imagine the amount of like effort and all that took to get that apart and prime that and spray paint that and put it all back together and make sure the paint doesn't get damaged. So it definitely is easier to custom a PS5.
Oh, 100%.
Just by taking the plates off. Didn't you do something for Vin?
I've still got them here. I actually need to send them off. The only thing that's been put on the back burner is the postal delays and things like that recently.
I'm interested to see what you come up with for Vin.
Yeah. 100%. To be fair, it's Vin didn't give me a remit. He just said, "Go for it," which is good, both good and bad.
Means that'll be interesting then.
Like, what do I do? But I think I've got a good idea, because I know what his favorite franchise is. On PlayStation, and he's been playing it a very lot recently, so I think I'm going to stick with that, and it's Uncharted. So I'm going to come up with a really good Uncharted paint job for that, and do that for Vin. He loves it. He's played them all start to finish, and I think he hasn't played 4, or maybe he hasn't got to 4 yet. But I know he's working his way through the original Nathan Drake collection again, and going on to that'd be awesome. But for me, when I eventually get a PlayStation 5, I don't know what it's going to be. Would I go with God of War, because the new God of War is technically over after this one, or will I go for something else? I don't know. I haven't decided.
That's interesting.
Because again, I don't want to. Hellblade's a series that is going to continue, which is why I did Hellblade. Fable, of course, is a series that is continuing, so which is why I did Fable. But with God of War, this is Ragnarok is the end of this section of God of War, and then it changes again. So would it be worthwhile doing a Ragnarok PlayStation 5 when it's the end of its lifespan, should we say, for that kind of section of God of War? I don't know.
That's tricky. That. What's your favorite PlayStation game?
It is God of War so far.
And I'd say go with that then if it's your favorite.
So far, but again, I don't know what else can. Like, I also enjoy The Last of Us. I also enjoy Uncharted. There's loads. Do I do a Final Fantasy one with it being, pretty much exclusive anyway? There's many possibilities. Or do I do like a one where they kind of encompasses several characters, and you've got The Last of Us and God of War and a few other kind of main lead characters for PlayStation on there, and do some kind of mad kind of collaboration.
Like greatest PlayStation characters of all time.
Yep.
That would be cool.
Yeah. And of course we've seen the likes of Spider-Man and things like that they've done before, but even then, like the last Spider-Man one was pretty basic. It was just red with a Spidey symbol on it. I was like, is that the best you've got? Like, of all the things you could do on a Spidey console, that's what you come up with. Just the Spidey logo on red.
Yeah, it's pretty weird how it was just that. They don't even have any of the fine details of the suit in it. It's just red.
Yeah,
white.
the God of War one's the best one they've done. And even that was pretty plain. That was just the details from the axe was on the console. Like all the symbols and things like that. And the God of War
so
Ragnarok.
weird, though,
Have you seen the Ragnarok controller for PlayStation 5? How plain that is?
Yeah, it's just white and blue with a
symbol on the touchpad.
Right?
Yeah, that's it.
That's
like,
special.
Really?
Nothing memorable.
Yeah. There's nothing to it. Like, you could have done much more with that. Much more.
Yeah, they could have done like an ice sort of effect on it or something like that.
Will you see some of the basic, like the basic ones that Xbox do with the Sea of Thieves controller, the Minecraft controller, the Forza Horizon controller, like all the detail they put into those ones. And then PlayStation, every time, just do the same thing. They just do one or two colours and then the symbol in the middle of the touchpad. That's it. So it's unfortunate. If I ever get a PlayStation 5, I'll ask you to do the plates. X-Men style, that would be cool. That'd be cool. What, Wolverine plates?
Or there's a lot of X-Men characters though.
Well, you'd have to have Wolverine all day long. You just have him standing on the side of the plate like that with his claws out. 100%. I've already got it in my head now. As soon as you said X-Men style, I've just pictured Wolverine and then just standing with his claws like out on the plate. No, that's... Yeah, there's lots of choice, and of course we can easily get to it, but yeah, awesome. So you've got Bloodborne and Miles Morales to go so far. God of War you're going to be redoing, which is awesome. Is God of War had a not a current gen
remaster?
Patch?
No,
it hasn't had a. But it has had a patch?
I don't think so. It's just the PS4 version in because I did get a subscription to whatever they call it, PlayStation Plus Premium. Right. I'll try it out. There's a bunch of games on there I've installed. They've actually got the director's cut of the original Resident Evil game on there, so PS1 Resident Evil. I installed that. That was a pretty fun game to look back on. I don't think I'll go through the whole thing because playing those games with the tanky controllers is just painful.
Yep. Absolutely.
So yeah, it was nice to just switch on, have a look, and be like, oh, that's what that looked like back then.
Yeah, exactly.
And then be done with it. But yeah, they've got I haven't got Last of Us 2 on there yet, but I'd imagine it will go on there at some point.
I mean, to be fair with The Last of Us 2, have you played through it yet?
Yeah, I've completed both of the
Last of Us games. I was going to say, because with The Last of Us 2, I mean, I picked up The Last of Us 2 I on disc, what, £14 from Game, I think it was. Brand new. I was like, 14, 1-4. I was like, Jesus, of course I'm picking that up. So there was no chance I was going to buy it for 70 quid or whatever the hell it was. So that picked up about 14 quid.
I do own it digitally. I just need to put my old account on the PlayStation,
right.
but I couldn't be asked to mess around remembering my password, so I just made a new one.
Yeah, may as well start from scratch. Why not?
Yeah,
Why not?
I didn't have that many like trophies and such on it anyway.
That's the thing with me. I don't have many trophies on my PlayStation either. I tell you what, though, the one thing I would do is specifically, I would probably start from scratch like you on the PlayStation 5. And I'd go through God of War again and get all the trophies again, because I thoroughly enjoyed it the last time, and the only reason I haven't played it again is because I've already platinumed it, and there's nothing else for me to go back and play for on it.
Yeah.
So if I got an incentive to go on and play it again, then I'd do it.
Exactly what I'm doing with Spider-Man, because Spider-Man is the only game I've ever platinumed.
Yeah,
on
that was the same with me in God of War, the only one. Love it.
I'm really looking forward to Spider-Man 2, though.
Yeah,
I can't wait to get into playing Miles Morales.
Yeah, you've never played that yet, have you?
No, I've not played it yet. No, didn't bother getting it on PS4.
Apparently, Miles as well was, in terms of its story, was a much better story than the first one. I know it's a shorter experience. I think Miles Morales.
I think it's like 12 hours in comparison to
20-something
Spider-Man, which is like 20-something.
Yeah.
That's without doing all the side content.
Yeah.
I'd imagine Miles with the side content is probably something around 15, maybe 16, 17 hours.
Awesome. What do you make of what games are you looking forward to then on PlayStation? Obviously, I would say what games you're looking forward to on PlayStation. There isn't any games coming out for PlayStation other than God of War Ragnarok and Spider-Man. They're the only two we know of. But I mean, you're looking forward to Ragnarok?
Right around the corner. I'm hyped to play that. It's the sole reason why I got it. I can't wait to play Ragnarok.
Yeah.
And I wasn't going to get the PlayStation at first. I kind of took a stance where I was debating not to get it.
Yeah.
And then I said I wasn't going to get it. But with Ragnarok coming closer and closer and closer, I was like, I'm going to bite the bullet. I have to bite the bullet. And then I bit the bullet.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
don't blame you. I don't blame you. If I had the money to do so, I would go out and find a PlayStation 5. I will be playing Ragnarok regardless. I'm just going to bite that bullet and deal with whatever performance-related issues come out of it. However, if it performs as good as 2018 did on PlayStation 4 Pro, then I'll be okay with that. If it performs like Horizon Forbidden West did on PlayStation 4 Pro, then I'll have an issue, and I'm going to have to park the bus until I get a PlayStation, but I will be picking it up day one. Of course, we're doing the giveaway as well for Ragnarok with Frame a Game. If anybody doesn't already know about that, of course, all you got to do is on my Twitter account, go and make sure you go follow Frame a Game on Twitter, subscribe to this YouTube channel, post the confirmations that you've done both underneath the tweet. I'll have to repost the tweet or pin it to the account or something. Do that. And you're in with a chance of winning God of War Ragnarok, not only the game, but also an awesome decorative frame to display it when you finish the game as well. So, of course, a copy of Ragnarok. It'll probably arrive, obviously, with regards it releases on the 9th. We don't get access to it early. So the only issue is, of course, that we'll be picking up the game on release day. The frame and everything will be already done. So all it'll need doing is put the game in and then ship it off. So you'll probably get it a couple of days or a week after, depending on where you are in the world and whoever wins it. But of course, it's Ragnarok, and I'll be picking up myself a copy, and I can't wait. I so hope it's as good as we all hope it is. I really hope that. I thoroughly enjoyed 18.
I can't imagine them dropping the ball.
Yeah.
The first one was a bloody masterpiece in terms of story and gameplay. It was awesome. I loved every moment of that game.
And graphically really pretty as well.
the music score, the story, the characters, they were all bloody brilliant. Like very first encounter of the game where you fight the stranger.
Oh,
Spoiler
I'll
alert, turns out to
always
be
stick in my
Boulder the
memory that.
Reborn. It's one of the greatest opening boss battles I've ever experienced.
And I think the stranger is one of the best ongoing bosses in a game that I've ever played. I think
Yeah,
he's
it just elevates with him.
it's
Like,
just
it gets...
his acting is just phenomenal.
Mm.
Like he's the way he puts himself across. He's like he is the main character, and Kratos is kind of taking a step back because he's got that feeling on screen when he comes on, and his acting ability and things like that. I was just like, holy shit, like, this guy, this guy's cool as
he's
fuck.
quite the theatrical character, and I
Yeah.
really like that about him. Like that acting from all of the actors was brilliant, but that one guy who plays Boulder the Stranger, just on another level, was so good. It's like when you put Batman and Joker in the same room, Joker steals the show.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Anybody get Dutch vibes from the stranger? Possibly.
I'm really looking forward to fighting Thor, though. I think that's going to be
I'm looking to
bloody
see what I'm looking forward to seeing what part Tyr plays in the game. When you come across the actual Norse God of War Tyr. Really looking forward to seeing what that's all about. And how he fits
I'm
in.
just wondering what other Norse gods are gonna show up.
Yes.
That's something that really interests me, because there's so many different Norse gods that have like different things. You've got the god of the hunt, and that'll be an interesting one to fight if he's in it. Because how do you beat the god of the hunt?
Yep. And
That'll be
Fenrir, like from what I've
really
seen on the
interesting.
video, Fenrir is with them as opposed to against them, which is weird.
That last trailer was just so good. Like the way it split the sky was awesome.
Yeah. So actually, let's see if I can put that on. Actually, let's see.
Surely there's got to be a state of play coming up for that soon. Any week now, because it's what, 3 weeks time, 3 weeks and 2 days, I think, if I'm correct. Surely there's got to be a state of play coming up where they blow the doors off and show a lot of stuff. Because it feels like they're being very quiet with that game.
Yeah, I mean,
unless they just don't want spoilers.
3 days ago, even though I didn't see this, they posted a very quick 31-second next-gen immersion trailer for God of War as well, which is talking about the controls.
I mean, personally, if they did do a state of play, I probably wouldn't watch it because it's right around the corner now. I'm going to be playing it anyway.
Yeah.
But I'm just surprised they haven't, to like get people hyped a little bit more.
This is on GameSpot. We'll just transition quickly over to gameplay. Woohoo!
See when you're in your active zone. Get turn-by-turn directions.
We've got an advertisement going on here. Free ads on free ads.
Hey, can I call you
Don't we just love
right
that?
from your wrist. The new Google Pixel Watch.
Actually, let's. There we go. There we go. So, should have I've turned off the audio in the background there. It probably was a bit loud at first, but story trailer. But yeah, the game looks absolutely phenomenal. I'm expecting nothing less than what they give us last time round.
Oh, it's such a good game. And like the 2018 game being the only God of War game I've played
Same.
was amazing. I'm probably, after I've completed Ragnarok, I might go back and play the older God of War games. I know, I think they're fixed camera angle, right? If I'm correct.
Yeah.
So that'll be a bit of a struggle to play. But I'm interested to go back and play it for story more than anything.
Yeah, 100%. To see what the earlier stories were like. I know they're very different. which is why 2018 kind of won loads of awards, because it was a massive change in the direction of the game. Oh, I can't wait to fight the Valkyries again, but this just looks insane. Like they're in space or something here. It's like some kind of weird, like another dimension that we've never played. Look at the size of these guys as well.
I wonder if that's it's the place that the dwarves live.
Oh, yeah, I know what you mean. I've forgotten the name. It's
They had it in I think it was Infinity War as well. Nidavellir.
yes, yeah.
I wonder if that's that.
I hope another thing I want to hope too is as well as going to the land of the giants, because you only go there to drop the ashes off in the first one. And they're like, oh, all the giants are dead. I'm like, well, that's obviously not true. There's bound to be more giants left in the realm of the giants. They're not going to be all dead. And see what I
Surely
mean
there
about
has to be.
Fenrir in this trailer. Like Fenrir's with you, not against you.
There's 2 wolves there though.
Yeah, it's
What's the or is that Frankie and Gary?
yeah, it would be
Odin's
Frecking.
wolves.
It could be Frecking Gary if it's Odin's wolves, and not Fenrir. Fenrir's kind of a world
I'd
eater.
imagine Fenrir would probably be a boss you have to fight, and the 2 other wolves, maybe
Yeah.
they're with you.
Just put it back on again in the background. But yeah, but then we've got obviously Fenrir, who is the world eater, which is what I was looking at the trailer now. Is that Fenrir, or is it Frecking Gary? Who's Odin's wolves? I wonder if at some point Hugin and Moonin, the
Odin's
ravens, play into it at all, or maybe he's kind of keep an eye on you throughout the game, and you just see kind of these ravens flying over.
That would be interesting. I wonder if you actually get to fight Odin.
I wonder,
Surely
but I'm
you have to,
seriously
right?
like, but after saying, look, like if you look on that trailer there, like Tyr is with you at some point, and he's look at him dragging people along. I wonder if he just fights alongside you for quite a substantial part of the game, or like what happens to him.
That'll be interesting, because he, in terms of Norse mythology, loses his arm to blanking on the name of the wolf now. You said it a minute ago.
Fenrir.
Fenrir, yeah.
Yeah, he gets his arm bit off.
Which in obviously terms of Norse mythology is a child of Loki.
Yeah.
And you got the 9-legged horse as well. I wonder if that's going to show up in this game.
Yes. And actually, for anybody who is interested in Norse mythology, because both of this and Valhalla did a good job at explaining that. In Valhalla, you go to what the hell's it called? Because it's not Valhalla. What's it called? The other realm. It's essentially the realm of the gods, anyway. In Valhalla, and you see Fenrir, and it explains that it is obviously a child of Loki that's being kind of chained up, and it gets to the point where it's absolutely humongous and it needs stopped. Otherwise, it will destroy the earth, and destroy kind of the realms, etc. Yeah, there's so much that can put into it, and again, it depends. Like the story trailer looks absolutely phenomenal. I'm just gonna pause it there because that's such a cool looking section. That what an awesome looking game. But I just like I'm fully expecting. I hope the story. Apparently, according to the developers at God of War, the combat's really improved. The variance in combat's improved. Obviously, not only graphically is it improved over the first one. Specifically, if you've got actually, I think you're right, because I've just noticed there is the second wolf, and I didn't notice that the first time. That's Freki and Gary. Then that's that's Odin's wolves. But yeah, and they've also said the story's actually better written in the second one than the first, and that's hard to do. If that is true, and it's got a better story than the first one, which I think will be quite difficult because I thought the story in the first and the writing was phenomenal. But if they manage to do a better story and better writing in the second one, then it's got every chance of being in Game of the Year territory. I was listening to Game On Daily, and shout out to David Jaff, actually, who pointed this out. He still believes, as much as God of War is great, it doesn't do enough this time around, realistically, regardless of what it does, to win Game of the Year. Mainly because it doesn't do much to push the medium forward anymore. Whereas Elden Ring went from a very niche section of people playing it, i.e. like Souls, diehard Souls fans, to doing 20 million copy and essentially being anybody and everybody playing it.
I still hear people talking about Elden Ring to this day, and it's been out almost a year in February.
Yeah.
Did that come out?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think Elden Ring will still likely win Game of the Year. I'd be surprised if it didn't.
Yeah.
As much as I'm hyped for God of War and I can't wait to play it, and I haven't played Elden Ring, I see Elden Ring being the one that wins Game of the Year for the fact that it was something that they innovated on.
It did more.
their-
It did
their
more for the
souls.
medium, and it did more for the genre than another God of War would do. Because God of War 2018 won because it did so much for what it was. Like, it was so far ahead of any previous God of Wars, but also in terms of the storytelling, the graphics, the action, the combat. Just all in all, the game did a lot for the medium. And where kind of The Last of Us was the first big game to kind of win like a story-driven thing for a very long time and win countless awards. This was that next step. Like, God of War did what The Last of Us did and really reinvented the series, which is why, of course, it pushed the medium forward again. And a lot of games have the likes of God of War and The Last of Us to stack up against, because the storytelling, not just the gameplay, but the storytelling, even graphics aside, is phenomenal.
That's something I do have to pat Sony on the back for. They do great story games.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. You can't argue with that.
If you want to
That's
sit down and
something
just...
I want more of from Xbox is
100%.
more story-driven linear games.
Absolutely. And the one we've got to... Again, we'll be getting that in Hellblade. I'm really looking forward to seeing how they progress that
I'm really
one.
looking forward to that. I really do hope that comes out next year.
Oh, same. You're fucking telling me. You're telling me this fucking console's gathering bloody dust. It's Hellblade console.
Being the fact that I also didn't play Hellblade until I did that partial play on it, and then just being blown away by that game, it was bloody awesome. And then shortly after they released a next gen patch for it, and then going back and looking at that was bloody awesome.
Yeah.
I can't wait for that.
Yeah, same. And it's just the fact that they've improved like tenfold since that first game. They've got like that first game that had like 20 people working on it. They've got like 200 people in the studio now. A brand new studio, like state of the art technology, top to bottom, refined combat. Like, the graphics on the new one look absolutely insane. But we know the storytelling's going to be good because the first one had unbelievable storytelling as well. So if any Xbox game stands a chance at winning a Game of the Year in terms of its story,
It's definitely that.
it's Hellblade. And
Hellblade
the
told a
technological
brilliant
push.
story.
Yeah.
And it was a mental health based story as well.
Yeah.
Not many games have the balls to do that, and Hellblade did it near perfectly.
Yeah.
It's hard to do anything perfectly, but Hellblade came close to that.
Yeah. Absolutely. So yeah, we both agreed on that. We both really want Xbox to do more of them story games. Something PlayStation have pretty much mastered now. They're really great at telling stories. That goes for their open world as well as closed world games. So we're talking like The Last of Us 1, Last of Us 2, great stories. God of War, great stories. The Uncharted collection, all great stories, including 4. 4 was a great story as well. I actually want to go back and play 4 after watching the film again. Like, the film just makes you want to be one of these like rogue kind of thieves and like Indiana Jones-esque gamers. And speaking of which, actually, it's another game we've got coming up in a few years, Indiana Jones. Let's hope the story on that's good. But
Hopefully.
yeah,
Wasn't there like leaked pictures from that, or am I just imagining things? This whole week's been a blur, to be honest.
I don't
I
think
swear
so.
I was flicking through Twitter and I saw some supposed leaked screenshots.
Oh, I don't
They're
think
probably
so.
not real.
Yeah.
I'd imagine it's probably some sort of fan-made thing in Unreal Engine to show what it could look like.
Yeah. But Xbox, you are right. I mean, the one thing Xbox have got a lot of is big open world Western RPGs, and of course the stories are cool on that. But sometimes they're a bit too big. You do need to have
And
these much more linear, shorter stories, I think, and that's what PlayStation
yeah,
have
and
cracked.
people
With even
take
big,
jabs at Xbox and say it's the FPS box,
yeah,
and that's something that Xbox are obviously trying to position themselves not to be a console for one specific genre of
yeah.
games. And that's something I wish PlayStation would also do, because PlayStation could do with some first person shooters and some other genres of games that
Well,
they don't really
you've got to
focus
think.
on.
You've got to think as well on their first person shooters, because one thing we love in FPS isn't just great multiplayer, but sometimes a great FPS story goes a long way as well. And with their ability to create a really great story, with the capabilities of a team like Bungie, they've got a real great possibility, if they put their minds to it, to create an awesome campaign first person shooter with an awesome multiplayer attached to it.
And they've got plenty of dormant FPS games they can easily pick up and go,
Exactly.
let's do something with this.
Revive
They've
Killzone.
got Resistance, Killzone. They've got another game that most people would probably laugh at me saying it. There was a game called Haze, and it had an interesting concept, although it kind of fell flat on its face. They could revive that and completely reboot it and change it.
Yeah.
There's so many franchises that PlayStation have got that they've just got locked away in storage and they're doing nothing with it. You'd easily pick out one and go, let's do that, focus on that. Let's turn this into a great first person shooter game. Let's take a look at the great first person shooter games that already exist, learn some lessons from those games, do something bigger and better with our own games. They could easily do it. They've got the writers to do so.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think they should do as well, to be fair. I think they absolutely should do. But time will tell, I suppose. Time will certainly tell.
That's one thing I don't agree with them saying about the whole Call of Duty going away would be a bad thing, because there's no game that competes with it. There's plenty of games that could compete with it. Just a lot of those companies don't put in the effort to do that.
Yep, I agree. Absolutely agree. Yeah, put that on. But yeah, it's. There's countless amounts of things you can point out to Sony being unbelievable at creating great story experiences. And of course, one of them is, of course, Spider-Man, which you've played there, which you love. Miles Morales was phenomenal. God of War, Uncharted, Last of Us, Horizon Forbidden West, Ghost of Tsushima, Days Gone had a good story. Like the even the
I'm
open world
disappointed
games.
that Days Gone is never going to get a sequel, because that game had so much potential.
Yep.
And no game really finds its footing in its first outing. It's usually the sequel that comes along and goes, look what we've done with the sequel. Look how much of an improvement it is over the first game. And that's not going to get that
we've learnt our
chance,
lessons from the first one, and this is what we're doing in the second one. And we've seen that with Gears
But-
of War, for instance. Like Gears
Yeah.
1 was groundbreaking, but Gears 2 is where it really kicked off. Like for me, Gears 2 is probably the best Gears. Gears 1 was groundbreaking.
What I just want to mention about Days Gone, and I don't understand this, is why are they doing a TV show of that? They have no intentions of ever bringing that franchise back in the game.
Yep.
That bugs me. That really does bug me, because I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, what could a sequel be like?
Yeah.
Or are they just doing this to continue the story, to wrap it up?
Yeah.
And that bugs me even more because of the fact I'm not going to get to play that.
Mm-hmm.
I have to watch it instead.
Yep. I know. Yep. Madness. I want to talk about, I'm going to transition into this, of course, a game that I've been playing. And I've got some gameplay on in the background here as well, so I'm going to transition back over to that. Woo! But I've been playing some Scorn, of course, on Xbox Series S. Streamed it the other day. Yesterday, actually. Streamed it for 3 hours or something like that. So I got the first 3 hours of it done, or at least 3 hours at my pace, because I didn't realise until later on in the game that I could sprint. So went through at walking pace for the vast majority.
I found that a lot with people. My dad didn't realise that until later in the game.
Yeah.
And he's trying to struggle to get past some of the creatures that are in the game.
Yeah. And I realised I could actually sprint, which made it a lot easier. There is no jump, so you can't jump past things, which is one pain in the arse, but there is a sprint, so you can sprint past. But yeah, it's received mixed reviews, of course, so far. They're very contrasting reviews, actually. It's either people love it, and it's getting high scores, like 8s, 9s, 10s out of 10s, or it's the complete opposite. And it's getting really low scores, 2s and 4s and 5s. There is no real in between. There's a couple of kind of average scores, 7s, but the vast majority are either hate it or love it, and I can see why. Of course, the people who go on.
If no one's played it yet, Berserker this Jordan, aka Jed.
Yep,
He's
Jed.
got a pretty good review from Complete Xbox, so check that out.
He has. One thing I want to say with Jordan, of course, is Jordan's a big horror fan, a horror game fan, for instance, as well. So his perspective comes from the fact that he plays a lot of horror games, plays a lot of scary games and things like that. So he has kind of a different viewpoint on it. If you're going into this game expecting loads of combat, probably not the game for you. It is very much a puzzle, creepy horror game set in a H.R. Geiger inspired world. It is very H.R. Geiger. If it isn't already that they spoke to H.R. Geiger and he helped design the world for them, because I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case. It's all very biomechanical.
It's very alien, and that movie Prometheus, which is obviously a prequel to Alien.
Yeah.
It's very much like those ships that they go in those movies.
Yep. And I absolutely
Really,
love it.
Creepy, atmospheric.
The art style on this game is phenomenal. It looks absolutely gorgeous. It is exactly what I would hope from a Prometheus / H.R. Geiger / Alien world in terms of its aesthetics. One thing the game makes me do, though, is hope, dream, and wish for an actual Prometheus-style action adventure game set in this world. Like this designed world with this like alien planet where you're going in there and you're discovering all these weird buildings for the first time with like in a story-driven sense where you have weapons and you have survival kind of things going on there. You can only imagine if they designed a game set in this art style Prometheus kind of world for an alien game, it would be absolutely insane. Like, it would sell so many copies. You've got no idea. Like, you've seen what they did with Alien Was it Alien Isolation? It was that, wasn't it?
Yeah. I don't really go much on that game, to be honest.
But you've seen what they managed to do with like that kind of dramatic atmosphere. Now imagine like if anybody's seen Prometheus, I know you have, I have, but even in for the chat, if you've seen Prometheus and you understand what I mean about kind of that sense of wonder and adventure and but also the scare you get of seeing Alien for the first time and people getting infected and like aliens popping out of them and things like that. That's the kind of thing that you need from a proper Alien game. That's the thing that we need. Personally, I think it would do phenomenally. The sound work on this game is phenomenal, and not just in terms of the actual sound effects. I'm talking about the audio as well. It adds to the atmosphere that you're getting visually, including like the background soundtrack. So the soundtrack to this game as well is very much like you would get in the film Prometheus or Alien. It's very like
Yeah,
mysterious.
it's got like a very atmospheric soundtrack to it.
Yeah, very atmospheric. The puzzles are relatively, they're not hard, they're not easy, but they do get you thinking. I know a lot of people have got stuck on a couple puzzles and just give up. And puzzle games aren't for everybody. And a lot of the time it's meta puzzles, so i.e. smaller puzzles that unlock a bigger puzzle. And it's all about kind of getting to certain areas. And I know the story itself kind of picks up later on, but it's not a story. The game isn't a story that relies on scripts, or text or anything like that. Adverts. It heavily relies specifically on the visuals and what you're going through in terms of kind of the actual gameplay itself. And kind of essentially exploring this world and trying to figure out why you're there and what's going on, and seeing what's happening.
Definitely a game that doesn't hold your hand. Very exploration driven. There's literally no information on how the puzzles are done. It's not like a Resident Evil or Silent Hill game where you're going to find a note somewhere that says this is what you have to do. Blah 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 blah. These are the steps. Follow them.
Yeah.
It's very trial and error, and to some people that can be frustrating.
Yeah.
I get frustrated with things like this because I feel like, especially if I'm there for 20 minutes plus at the same puzzle and I can't figure it out, I get kind of bugged, and I have to like quit the game and come back to it later. Otherwise, I just get to the boiling point.
Yeah.
And I'll uninstall the game because it'll piss me off. So yeah, it's one of the reasons why I haven't jumped on this yet. I'm likely going to save it for Halloween, maybe do a Halloween stream and play it there. So I'm not in any immediate rush to play it because I know I'm probably going to get frustrated.
Yeah. It's to be fair. I mean, I had Stu messages as well, and he'd obviously caught the stream afterwards. But he started playing the game I think today, and he was using my stream as a guide because obviously I'd played the first few hours and did quite a few of the puzzles, so he used my stream as the guide for that. So there we go. Hats off. But no, overall, thoroughly enjoying the game so far. I've got about 3 hours into it. I've got up to, completed chapter 7, and there's 12 chapters. However, the first achievement for the game is choice. So the section that you see on screen now is a section where you get Jim. Poor old Jim.
Poor Jim.
But essentially, once you've got this particular bloke down, there's the choice of saving him or killing him. And essentially, if you save him, then he walks with you and helps you unlock doors. If you decide to kill him, then you take his arm and use it to unlock the door.
Poor Jim.
But there's an achievement for each one, and you can only obviously do once on a playthrough. So if you choose to save him, you're going to have to go back and just start the game again. Obviously to this section, do this first puzzle again, and kill him. Likewise,
what bugs me about the achievements though is they're numbered. There's no names to the actual achievement. It's 1, 2, and the first 2 achievements would bug me. I'd have to get 1 and then immediately restart it and get 2 because that would look so weird going through that list and you got like 1 and then right at the top you got 2.
Yep.
So that would really, really bug me.
Yeah. So 1 and 2 are choice based, but the only way to get them both is to go back and do the opposite of the choice that you chose, which would mean starting the game again, doing the opposite choice, and then starting and going from there. This initial puzzle is the one that got people automatically just turn it off because they couldn't be bothered to figure it out.
I can understand why though.
Yeah,
It's frustrated my dad. I was watching my dad play this. It was frustrating him, and
yeah,
then in the end, like I did the puzzle because he was getting too frustrated, and I was getting frustrated as well. But eventually, I just got everything over to one side and managed to get the correct thing into the right place. There's two of those things. One of them is a fake, basically.
yeah.
It's one of the two with the lights, the one that's conjoined to the other one. So the single one, two little lights on it, is the fake one. So yeah, you have to get rid of that first one as well, though. Otherwise,
It fucks you
it's
up.
hard.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
I
You get
don't think you could actually do this puzzle unless you get that singular little testicle.
no, you've got
That's
to.
where it is. They look like
Yeah,
testicles.
you get them all to one side.
Uh,
So get all the single ones to one side, and then move the doubles after that. Once you've got the singles out the way, then it's easy to do it. But yeah, it's a bit of a pain in the arse. The first one that he gets obviously a fake one, but back to the game itself. Really, like you say, really interested by it. I'm looking forward to finishing it. It's not a huge game. All in all, depending on how quickly you get through the puzzles, and if you know where the sprint button is, which hint, by the way, it's hold down the left bumper and you can sprint. About halfway through the game, you do get a weapon, a gun, which is essentially if you attack them when they don't know you're there, it's one shot kill. If you essentially attack them when they know you're there, then that's it's game over essentially. Let's put it that way. It takes about 4 or 5 shots, and you waste ammo. So try and reserve your shots to when they can't see you or haven't realised you're there, and at least you'll be able to take them out in one shot. But no, overall, very intriguing game, very intriguing world. Looking forward to getting back into it. Like I said, audio wise, awesome. Graphically, very, very pretty.
oh yeah, graphics are amazing, art style's amazing, but
Yeah.
also creepy, and everything sounds like mac and cheese.
Everything sounds like mac and cheese, yeah. Even this little advert that's on screen sounds like mac and cheese. But no, it does have, it's very squishy, very moist. But no, really awesome puzzle game set in a very creepy H.R. Geiger inspired Promethean world. And it's certainly, if you like puzzle games, or if you like Alien or Prometheus, you'll definitely like exploring this world and trying to figure out the puzzles that come along with it. It's not for everybody. Certainly, I'll say that from now. It's certainly not for everybody. It's a Marmite game. Some people love it, some people hate it. It's not overly long. It's like 6-7 hours at the longest. If you go through it, like I say, I'm on 3 hours and I've done 7 of the chapters. So and there's 12 all in all. So I'm over halfway now. So I've got 5 to go, and then that's the game done. So I'm looking forward to seeing what the second half of the game kind of gives me. But all in all, a great showing. Definitely interested to see how it goes. And of course, next week we have another awesome game. We're going to transition back out of this now and back to ourselves. But yes, we have another awesome game coming up on Tuesday. Of course, the release of Plague Tale Requiem, which has got a lot of awesome preview plaudits. We know Neil Druckmann from Naughty Dogs essentially said the team at Sobor are pushing the medium forward and kind of showing how it's done, and both storytelling and technical prowess essentially for the game. Really looking forward to Plague Tale Requiem. What about yourself?
I am, yes. I still haven't managed to complete the first one. Just as I was getting back into it, it came out of Game Pass, so I'll have to buy that, complete it before I start this new one. But I'm in no immediate rush because I'll be starting God of War. That's a 25-ish hour long game.
Yeah.
So I've got plenty to play at the moment, so I'm in no immediate rush.
then God of War as well. The good thing about God of War is it's about 30 hours if you include all of the achievements. So I think, especially if you're going for platinum this time around before Ragnarok comes out, I think you'll.
I might do.
I mean,
Not sure.
It's, to be fair, the platinum's pretty easy. The three things that are separate from the game itself to platinum it are smashing all the birds, which again, if you just quick guide, you can find where all the birds are and smash them all. Getting the armor in the Mist Realm, which takes a couple of goes round, but easily enough done. And killing all the Valkyries. The one thing
I remember fighting just one of those Valkyries, and I was like, "Oh,
yeah,
not doing this."
one thing I will say is the good thing about the Valkyries as well, especially if you're just trying to, should I say, speed run or just get the platinum. There is no limit for what difficulty you put it on. So if you want to go on to the easiest difficulty to beat the Valkyries just to get it done and platinumed, you can do that. If you want to go all out and put it hard, you can do that. They don't have a difficulty leveled achievement on that game, so
I might do that then. Hopefully, Colin Moriarty doesn't get pissed off with me for playing it on easy.
You're not reviewing it, so that's all right. It's really looking forward to it. I'm really hyped that we've got another awesome story game to look forward to again. Coming up very shortly, and I just want to see it. I've heard nothing but great things about Requiem. Graphically, it's meant to be absolutely outstanding, at least on PC. So I'm fingers crossed it looks equally as unbelievable on consoles.
I will ask you one question.
Yeah.
This is more of a hypothetical.
Yeah.
After this Activision Blizzard deal goes through, which we're not really going to talk about significantly, do you think Xbox buys or acquires, should I say, Sobo?
I would absolutely take a Sobo. It's one of the studios. I said, obviously, we've got Ninja Theory, which is amazing, but if you haven't looked at what studios offer, and I've said this for quite some time, Asobo have their own engine, which is very technically proficient. Very technically proficient. Obviously, they've got a 10-year kind of plan with Team Asobo on Flight Sim. They're working hand in hand with them with Plague Tale Requiem. They managed to get Plague Tale onto Game Pass day one. They're obviously story-wise and from a technical perspective, very competent developers. It's an absolute no-brainer, and I think they offer a lot. Again, they offer great level of expertise on the story front. Unbelievable amount of capabilities when it comes to the technical aspect. They have their own very astounding engine. So what's to lose with Asobo? You'd be filling in that story gap. You'd bring in that.
I think they need to. They need Asobo. They're great storytellers. What I have played of the original Plague's Tale, some of those scenes reduced me to tears. There's some great scenes between the two characters, Hugo and Amicia, I think it is.
Yeah.
And they just enough to make a grown man cry. So
yeah,
they need to nail them down 100%. Let them work on whatever they want to work on, of course.
Yeah. It's absolutely awesome.
Those are the type of studios that could rival a big studio like Naughty Dog with their skills of crafting a story.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's not shirk away from it. Like, Plague Tale Requiem is very much a AAA game. The original Plague Tale was AA, but Requiem is that whole other step up. This is kind of the first one on steroids. Like, from a technical perspective as well. Like, on the first one, they had something like 200 rats or something on screen that were technically all individually there. On this one, they said something like 100,000 rats on screen at any one point, which is obscene.
That's a lot of rats.
And they're all individually AI programmed, so they're all kind of individual rats, not just like a clump that goes together. But there's so much more going for this game, and it looks absolutely phenomenal. Like, see if I can find a quick trailer to put on there as well. It just looks like next level, and they're such a great developer. Let's have a look, see if I can find them. Plague.
I think Microsoft would be crazy not to invest and get that studio.
Oh,
I'm
absolutely.
pretty sure Asobo would be all for it as well, and then having that access to that kind of money to make the games they want to make, the dreams and their visions they want to execute, be a huge benefit to them.
Absolutely. I think it's like you say, or at least have that conversation with them anyway to see, like, would they want to be part of Xbox Game Studios? What would they like to think about with an acquisition? You know what I mean? It's Joshua James. Imagine if Asobo takes what they learned from Plague's Tale and Flight Sim and makes together for a Crimson Skies reboot. Yeah.
I never played Crimson Skies, so Joshua's probably going to hate me for saying that. I have no idea what that game is. Apologies.
Whoop. Go back over to this. There we go. Bit of Plague Tale Requiem. Yeah, I mean, it looks and granted the videos that they've showed off so far as well. Obviously, when you see it, and I've always said the same thing when you see trailers online, they don't often do the games just as much justice as they do when you physically see them for yourself. Because of course, things like trailers don't have, or at least the vast majority of them, aren't uploaded with HDR.
And they're compressed by YouTube as
Yeah,
well.
compressed to death. So when you see them physically, it's far sharper, far cleaner image. You've got the HDR that really pops things out. Ray tracing in games. It just, like, it's astounding really from start to finish. But such a great studio, and they've never been one to come out and be very vocal about kind of good or bad things of development. They've kind of kept themselves to themselves and just been very competent developers.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what they do next as well.
100%.
Have they said this is the end to the story of this, or
No.
I'd imagine they've probably got plans for a sequel then.
It depends, yeah. We'll have to wait and see what happens in this one. I know people that have finished it, and I really want to ask them. But I also don't want to spoil it for myself, so there's obviously a lot more to this game now. As you can see, there's kind of traveling and traversing across kind of the water and seas on boats, and Hugo's got power to control the rats and make them attack people, and you've got more weapons this time round, and it's just like a crossbow, man. Much better. Look at that. And instead of just throwing things at them, looks just so much better.
I need to hurry up and beat the first game.
It's such a good game, but I'm just really looking forward to seeing where they've gone with this one and what you can do with it. It kind of looks like it's got some open world elements to it as well. But yeah, to your question, absolutely Microsoft needs to think about, if not already in discussions with Asobo with regards to acquiring them. I wouldn't be surprised if they are.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised as well. But I think obviously their main goals at the moment is elsewhere.
Yeah.
With the other deal that they're doing, which we shall not speak of, because I guess a lot of us are tired of that.
Yeah. Yeah. Of course, next time we'll officially fully speak about the Activision Blizzard deal will be either upon completion or if it gets rejected. Either or, we'll speak about them. Sony want to hope to God it doesn't get rejected, because Microsoft are now sitting around on 70 billion if it gets rejected to spend on anything they want. Which means they could just swallow up loads of studios instead of a publisher. And
to be honest, if Sony
or spend on
actually sat down
exclusivity
and thought
agreements,
about it would be worse for Microsoft not to get them.
Yep.
Because what happens with Activision otherwise? The assets will get split up. It'll be an arms race to who can get to which piece of content first.
Yeah.
You'll have Tencent there. Amazon will be jumping on board.
Yeah.
If you don't think they're thinking about padding out their service for Luna, then yeah, it's going to be brutal if it comes to that, which I don't expect it.
Nah.
But yeah, that's all I'm going to say on that. I really can't be arsed with this talk anymore. And every other day, them being like this new CMA thing, it's just boring now. I just wished it was over already because it's tiring. It's
Yep.
exhausting seeing people argue over stupid shit. And personally, if it doesn't or does go through, I don't care. I don't care.
Yep.
I've
Same.
not got any shares in the company, so it doesn't benefit me to cap for it. So I don't care.
I'm glad the one thing I am glad about in the second Plague Tale as well, though, is that Hugo is not like a leper anymore. he's not falling apart. He's not like seriously ill. Which,
Yeah, he was pretty annoying in the first game. He was a bit whiny, but it's understandable. It's a little younger brother.
yeah. But
I'm pretty sure I was that annoying at some point.
But yeah, I'm really, really just looking forward to seeing where they go with it. To be honest, it's such a phenomenal game, and I can't wait to see everything about it. And again, I fully expect the reviews to be ultra positive on tomorrow when they're released. So it's tomorrow that they come out. Of course, the game releases. I do believe it's midnight tomorrow night. And of course, officially out on Tuesday. So, I'm debating staying up at midnight and doing maybe it's a 1 hour, 2 hour stream of the opening sequence of Plague Tale Requiem. We'll see. Maybe's.
I mean, could still game of the year if it gets great reviews.
You never know. You never know. You never know. Never know. But yes, it's the next things we need to talk about, because there wasn't actually that much. We've managed to get through quite a big conversation there without actually talking about much. We've talked about a lot. We've had a good, nice, fun show, nice, relaxed show. A couple of little things that we're going to speak about here. So Gotham Knights, of course, has been announced that will be capped at 30 frames a second on consoles. It is 60 frames on PC. The reason it's capped at 30 frames apparently is because of untethered multiplayer, which means that you can essentially go anywhere as a duo in the city and do whatever you want without being tethered together. I find
that strange though,
but I don't see.
Isn't there like minimum requirements on PC, which is lesser
1660 Ti,
Series X and S?
Yep.
So
1660, which you can have at 1080p 60 frames. And this is the thing that I was kind of pointing out myself, is if your game is scalable, it shows it can be done on consoles because it's a scalable game. So regardless of what they're saying about tethered or untethered, if your game can go down to low presets at 1080p 60 on a 1660, then that means the game is indeed scalable for console. You just need to optimize it. So instead of these excuses like a certain console, like this particular developer has come out and said from Rocksteady, who frankly is wrong in everything he's saying. I don't care if he's a developer or not. He's wrong.
There's been plenty of people that have come out and proved him wrong. It's pretty much a jackass.
He's a character designer. I'm sorry, you design characters. You don't work on the technical aspects of the game. You create characters, so stop acting like you know the intricacies of game development when you're a character designer. I'm sorry, but you don't. That's like me saying I know what a director of a company does in depth from top to bottom. I don't know because I'm not a director of a company, so I'm not going to go out and say that at this other role in my business, I know exactly what he does and what goes on from a technical aspect, because you don't. So stop saying that you know whether or not a game can run on a certain platform when you just design characters for a living. It's all you do. Like, the game is scalable. It is shown that in the fact that on PC, it is running on a 1660 Ti at 1080p on low presets as per their their system requirements at 60 frames. So if the game can run at 60 frames on PC, it can most definitely run on current gen consoles at 60 frames, not at 4K. If you need to ditch 4K, then put it out at 2K. If it needs to be 1080p or 900p on the Series S, do it. It doesn't need to be, because you have upscaling technologies on the Series S that helps it boost that resolution up from 900p to 4K for 4K screens, or 2K, or 1080p, whatever it needs to be. You don't have to worry about the resolution. Drop that resolution, slide back some of the details in the world. Like, it is a scalable game. You know it is. It's got nothing to do with an untethered world, because that same untethered world is 60 frames a second on a low-end graphics card on PC. So,
Yep.
I don't, like, all I would say is to developers, stop with the bullshit. Stop talking to people like you think we're fucking stupid. We're not stupid. Just because you create, it's like someone saying, oh, well, you don't drive a car, so you don't know how much petrol is. What were you talking? What the fuck are you talking about? Doesn't mean I can't see how much it is. Like, doesn't mean I don't know what that is. Like, just because I don't drive, it doesn't mean I don't know how fast that car is. Doesn't mean I don't know how expensive that car is. I don't mean it's fucking much more advanced car than the fucking Toyota Prius. You know what I mean? It's bonkers.
Yeah. I mean, if anything, this guy's just proved that he's a bit of a jackass, and
Well, he has, and then after that,
I get what he tried to do. He came out in defense of his
development
sister
community.
studio, or whatever
Yeah.
you call them, to defend them. And he ended up making himself look like an idiot because people came out and proved him wrong.
Well, not only that, but then his stupid quote after that regarding price of games. Oh well, if you go into inflation, the actual cost of a $60 game back in 2000 would actually be $100 and something now. So technically, we've been undercharging you for years.
Yeah, but
so you pay us what
he
we
doesn't
deserve.
take into account there is back then we didn't have MTX, we didn't have loot boxes.
Yeah. Well, not only that, but he doesn't see any benefit of whatever that cost of game is. He's on a salary.
Exactly.
So what the fuck is he talking about? Like, you're on a salary. You're
They
not
they
getting
might
paid
get
per
their
game sold.
bonuses, but most of that goes back into the studio and paying the investors.
Yep. Investors back into the studio. Your salaries are already paid. You might get a bonus if it sells well, but every contract is different. You might get it depending on what your studio offers. If they say, oh, if it gets X amount of critical acclaim, then we'll give you X amount, but they'll never say, if it ships 20 million, we'll give you a bonus. I don't know any studio that does that. The vast majority are based on critical acclaim. I will give you a bonus if it gets above X on Metacritic. The vast majority don't. Like, I know Square Enix might have done a bonus based on it, but it's very few studios do a bonus, an actual wage bonus, based on how many copies you ship. Because that's unpredictable. It's unpredictable. It's just silly people coming out with silly comments about things that they don't actually understand themselves. I understand if you work with in-game development, but just because you're a character designer doesn't mean you know the intricacies of what can be done on what. Even Joe from Song of Iron, he was technical artist, as he knows, but he's had to learn all of the different engines because he's never got involved with the in-depthness of Unreal Engine because he's never had to. Or any aspect of development outside of creating characters and character animation, because that wasn't his job. So when I've been speaking to people that have developed games from an indie perspective and from a AAA perspective, someone who works on animation, which is key to game development, character animation, not character design, which is what this guy is, character animation, and he didn't know the intricacies prior to being an indie developer of the actual development process and what can work on what and how to optimize it, then I know for a fact that this guy that is a character artist hasn't got a fucking Scooby-Doo on how to optimize a game for a platform.
Mm-hmm.
As simple as
Yep.
that. Simple.
Yep,
I'm not going to, like, you might be able to drive a car, But just because you drive a car doesn't mean you can fix it.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I can paint a console, but can I build one? No. That's like, I don't know how to build that. I can paint the console. That's essentially what he's doing. He's designing the characters. Great. You're a character artist. You design the characters. Brilliant. Terrific. Right, now, animate them. That's not my job. Okay, well, animate them. Go on. Tell me how you're going to animate that character. You can't because you don't know, because it's not your job to animate them. Your job is to create them.
It's more like a concept artist,
Yeah.
really. Like that's what a character artist really is. They basically draw the character, then the animation team goes from there with that.
And this is not just a primary dig at this guy, because this guy's just made himself look a tit, so I'm using him as an example. But anybody in any field, don't, because you think you do one thing, know you understand the role of somebody else within your company, or what is capable from the technology that your company works with. When other studios, like CD Projekt Red, have got a game like friggin' Cyberpunk running at 60 frames on a Series S, don't dare tell me that Gotham Knights can't run at 60 frames.
Mm-hmm.
So that game ran like Cyberpunk ran like
I think
a
it
heap
will,
of utter shit.
Like
Yeah, it ran, but
it'll be
Cyberpunk
a
ran like
while.
shit when it released. Ran like trash. And they still managed to get that game on 60 frames on Series S. So don't tell me that it's holding the generation back. When the PC, 9 times out of 10, is the lowest common denominator when it comes to graphical performance and technical performance.
I mean, it proves it with the fact that the minimum specs are lower than a Series S and X. So
Yeah.
the guy's talking out of his arse.
And it's not even just the Series S and X, it's any of the current gen platforms. Like, this is why I said on my post, and I didn't just point out Series S, it was just in general. Like, don't claim that any of the consoles, whether it be the S, the PS5, or the Series X, don't claim that none of them can do 60 frames on this game. When the game runs on PC, yes, at low settings, but the point is it's scalable. Like, your own development studios proved, that development studios proved that the game is scalable to a point that it can go down to low presets at 1080p and be at 60 frames. If that has been proven internally to work on a 1660, which is the lowest common denominator here, then it will work on console at 60 frames. You just change the presets. That's the whole point of optimization. If the Series X can do 4K 60, then do 4K 60. If the Series S can only handle 1080, then do 1080. If the Series S needs a few other little things tweaked here and there, like you turn down some of the effects, particle effects, or you turn down some of the texture details or anything like that, then do that. Like, you give options, that's the whole point. You say, okay, if you want to have all the bells and whistles, it's 30 frames. If you want to have performance, then we turn down some of these graphical options, and it's 60 frames. That is... The tools are there. We know the tools are there because every other game development studio is doing it. Yes, it's hard work, but fuck me. Jobs aren't easy. They're not meant to be easy.
Yep. And what's funny is they still want to charge 70 for the game.
Yeah. Yeah, it's gonna... This little... And that developer, if he might have thought he was doing well, but if anything, he's just pissed more people off, and he's caused more people to not get the game.
Personally, I wasn't going to pick the game up straight away anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll get it at some point, and that'll likely be when they decide to patch it for 60 FPS, and I fully expect them to do that at some point.
Another thing I was thinking of as well, though. Another thing I was thinking of. Right, don't tell me the Series S is not a capable machine when you've got fucking Flight Sim running on the Series S. One of the most fucking demanding games that has ever been created. Flight Sim pushes PCs.
Flight Sim's not a game, though, according to some.
But yeah, it is. You know what I mean? It's one of the most demanding games to ever. Like, even PCs struggle with Flight Sim, and they've got that running on console. Don't tell me the Series S is not a capable machine.
Yep.
Shh.
Yeah. I don't know what that guy tried to.
Sniff and
Well,
glue.
at least I don't know what he thought he was going to accomplish with the stupid shit he was
So the problem you've
saying,
got
but-
is like the vast majority of the development community are really cool people, but then you've got some developers that think they are some form of god.
Yep.
And he's one of them.
Sniffing glue or
Nobody thinks
sniffing their own
he's
rear
like got a
ends.
high and mighty approach, like I know best because I work as a developer. Fuck off. Like enough of that stupid shit, man. It's like be humble, admit defeat when you do it, because there's going to be a lot of people that come out and prove you wrong, including from the development community. So don't enough of the bullshit. Know when you're wrong. Don't speak out until you know exactly what you're talking about. Clearly this guy doesn't, and he thought he would try and help this studio. If anything, he's made things worse.
Yeah, he's just, like I said, come out in defense of a sister studio.
But
because
even like the studio
they're
themselves
both
didn't
Warner
say
Brothers,
that shit.
basically.
Like the studio themselves didn't say that shit. The studio said specifically it's because of the untethered world that we're trying to build has caused issues, so we're not going to. It's just going to be capped at 30. Now, of course, the vast majority of people have just said, well, why are you doing an untethered world? Like, what benefit as a co-op player is that? Because if you're playing co-op with your friends, you're going to be right beside your friend 90% of the time anyway. You're not going to go out and do your own
Very
shit.
much, yeah.
Like, why? Like,
I think they just wanted to be cool and different more than anything.
Yeah.
And
there's a reason. There's
do
a
it
reason
so
why
if you wanted
every
to, you could both fuck
multiplayer
off to
game,
different ends of the map.
yeah, outside of MMOs, there's a reason why every multiplayer game is tethered.
I mean, even Halo's tethered.
Yeah.
And that, like, even in the open world, when they finally get the co-op out,
Yeah. And
that's
MMOs,
tethered.
and even MMOs who have hundreds of people on in the same area at the same time, are running at 60 frames, by the way. Even they, when you get into a group to do raids and things like that, or adventures, becomes a tethered experience. The only time it is an untethered experience, it doesn't load in anything that's happening in the world that is not connected to you or your party. So if somebody goes off to do an adventure that isn't in your party, none of that affects your system draw, none of that affects the overheads, because that's not happening in your game world, so it doesn't need to generate that. So even MMOs with the most online and on-screen happening at one time uses a tethered approach. So it's a technical issue that they've got. It's a choice. But when that choice is proven to work on PC at 60 frames, that no longer becomes a choice and it becomes more of an optimization failure.
I see where they're going with it, but they probably should have just opted to have it tethered. But their whole thing is more like the cool factor of, oh, I'm a superhero doing my own thing, and then all of a sudden, crossover event style type thing is what they're going for, where another superhero shows up and they're then assisting me. Okay, like you said, 90% of the time, most people are going to be playing this game together. They're not going to run off to the other side of the fucking map in Gotham City and get up to shenanigans over there. Because where's the fun in that? Most
You
people
may
are
as well
gonna
be playing by
sticking
yourself.
together to assist each other. It's like, okay, if I wanted to do that, I'd just go fucking single player anyway.
Yeah, which is why I don't get why they're doing untethered. Because if you're gonna be playing, if you're gonna be fucking going off by yourself and doing something else, you may as well be playing single player.
It's pretty ridiculous. It's like, why? It just seems like they
Weird
wanted to
choice.
try this cool thing, and it didn't work for them in the long run because they had to cut the last generation version.
Yeah.
And it's really affecting the next generation version because of their design options.
Yeah.
They could have easily have changed this early in their concept, but they obviously wanted to stick to it to have something cool and memorable, but obviously it's not panned out for them.
Yeah. And I can absolutely, like, yes, the lowest common denominator prior to them cutting out the previous gen consoles was the previous gen consoles. Imagine trying to get a game like that running on a fucking Xbox One. which is barely two teraflops. It's like 1.5 teraflops or something stupid. Of course, it's not going to run on that. It's got the equivalent horsepower of a GTX 970 or something, or less. Like, then that would become more than the bottom common denominator. But the game was obviously running in some degree on an Xbox One before they decided to cut it. And we know that because it's running on a 1660. Which is less powerful than a fucking One X. The One X is more powerful than a 1660. I don't understand where they're coming from. Like,
it's just so it's like we said. It's just him. He's come out in defense of his co-studio or whatever you call them, because they both work for Warner Brothers, and he's just come out to try and I guess call people off, but he's just fanned the flames.
Yeah.
Oh well, it'll hopefully teach him a lesson not to talk shit.
Yeah.
Out of his ass, literally.
Yeah, absolutely. Second on developers that are being a bit of a shit, Platinum Games and Nintendo. So, the lady that played the voice of Bayonetta in Bayonetta 1 and 2 put a very public video up yesterday, a series of videos actually, which showed kind of how underpaid or undervalued that Platinum Games and etc. had came across as. So for her role, reprising the role of Bayonetta in Bayonetta 3, they offered this voice actress $4,000 to reprise the role and do all the voice acting work. Of course, it's quite meager, to be honest. $4,000 in the grand scheme of things is barely a month's work, especially for a voice actress. These days, if you see how much a lot of them get just by doing these cameo things, it's like 50, 60 quid a pop to do cameos. And they can do them till the cows come home, to be honest. You could easily do a cameo thing of all day long, and she would earn more than $4,000 a month, which is part of the issue these days. Is there's far more routes for all these voice actors to do things in order to get regular incomes and monies. So when you, from a studio perspective, offering people $4,000, which is essentially kind of on for the amount of work that she mentioned, which sounds like either a couple of months' work. I think she said it was 2 month, 3 month work for $4,000. That is below the national minimum, or on the national minimum wage. It's literally on the national minimum.
What's weird though is for each sequel, usually the pay increases.
Yeah.
I don't get why they decided to say we're going to give you 4,000.
Yeah.
And be done with it. But then she obviously didn't take the job. They hire a voice actress that is likely more expensive.
Much more expensive, yeah.
In Jennifer Howe, if I'm correct there, they hired Jennifer Howe to be the voice actress for Bayonetta and Bayonetta 3.
Who's done Metal Gear and other massive franchises.
Mass Effect.
She's like the Troy Baker of female voice actress.
She's a huge voice actress, and yeah, it would have been more expensive for them to go with her.
Yeah.
It just maybe seems like this was them going, we'll offer the voice actress to come back for $4K, see what she says. It seems like they were probably going for this new voice actress anyway.
Unless they were trying to push,
and this was
the
more
look.
of a push to put her off of accepting it.
It could have been that they were just trying to try their luck, and they didn't expect that to kick back so much, and just go, "Are you taking the piss?" Because if someone offered me 3 month work for 4,000, I would have been like, three months work for 4,000. Are you taking the piss? Sorry, that's less than
messed up.
Like it is. It's what we would class as kind of the real living wage, which is barely there. And it's not a regular trade. Like, it's not like going and working in a coffee shop. It's not working in retail. Like, these aren't like untrained jobs. These are things that people have worked hard to be getting good at. It's an actual trade that requires
That's
craft.
the sort of price point that you'd expect a studio to take risks with someone that's new to voice acting and not done many voice acting jobs.
And Fanto
Not
makes a good
someone
point
that's-
there, actually. Fanto has just said that the final offer was 4K, which means they started even lower.
Yeah, that's kind of disgusting. Well, it's not kind of disgusting.
It
It is.
is.
It's fucked up.
Yeah. It is. It's like I say, it's not a trade that you just walk in off the street and do. It's something you practice for a very long time. You go and do, whether it be drama classes or voice acting classes, or like she did, trained with one of the one of the very best
Yeah.
people.
It is an expensive thing
Career.
to do. Like
Yeah.
you have to get vocal coaches that help you train for specific accents and stuff like that.
Yep.
So there's
It's
a
not
lot
it's not like just going and working
voice
in a shop
acting.
or anything like that. Like that
Mm.
is real living wage. It's doing something that doesn't require any study in order to go out and do. That is what a regular job is.
Voice acting is something you put a lot of time into. You have to hone your voice skills to be able to like get into character like that.
Yeah.
Basically, and stick to that being in that character for X amount of hours on a daily basis, which can be a strain on your voice.
Absolutely.
So like it's definitely a side of the industry really that shouldn't be cheap.
But it's
It's
in
quite a
course it shouldn't,
strenuous job.
because at the yes, her face isn't on the game, but her vocals are within a game that's selling millions of units and making millions of pounds of profit. And
Mm.
you're out of all of those millions, you're going to pay the person who voices the main character less than somebody who's creating the design for the character. That doesn't make any sense. And then
Yeah,
Kamiya
it's
had the cheek to come out and
disgusting.
essentially say it was all lies. And
Yeah,
as
we
you've
saw how
mentioned,
defensive he got on Twitter.
yeah, and as you've mentioned, there's quite a bit kicked off from there as well.
Yeah, this guy's a real piece of shit.
Yeah.
Not going to put it lightly. He's a real piece of shit. Like you can see that he doesn't really like Westerners.
Oh,
Calls
no.
us
We're all
insects.
insects, yeah.
We're all insects to him.
You speak English, you're an
Um,
insect and you'll get blocked.
It's ridiculous. He went on a blocking spree because people were calling him out for his bullshit. And it got to the point where he must have blocked, I don't know how many hundreds of people, thousands of people. But Twitter then put him in a timeout, really. And he wasn't allowed to do anything. He got restricted. Shortly after he become unrestricted, his account doesn't exist anymore. He either deleted his account because he couldn't handle the heat from his stupid fucking tweeting.
Yeah.
This guy is a piece of shit.
It is a form of racism, and I don't care what people want to try and call it out on, but he's got an anti-Western agenda. And I'm sorry, but race, the term racism isn't just the color of your skin. It's about where you're from, where you originate from. It can be the country you come from. It can be the area of the world you come from. It can be your religious belief. Religious persecution is a form of racism. It could be anything. It could be gender. It's a form of essentially kind of abuse. And what he's doing essentially there is just showing his racist tendencies against Westerners. Anyone who speaks English.
I mean, if he's doing this over Twitter, what is he doing with his voice actors that are from the West?
Mhm.
Is he being abusive towards them as well?
Doubt. No doubt. I don't know why people. I don't know how. And this will again. There's no wonder Phil Spencer's backed off from him and just won't create a new game with him. And I would implore him not to. I would absolutely implore him not to. I would say,
Yeah,
tell you what,
it's-
Platinum Games, if you get rid of Camia, then we'll work with you. But until then, nope. If you views our consumers as insects, then we don't have any place for them in this community because it goes against everything Xbox and Microsoft stand for, and the rest, and any game development studio or any company. If the head of your studio is going out calling Westerners insects on the daily because they speak English, that's not
and
someone
blocking
you
them
need to.
because
They
they
should
speak
be
English
associating
as
with.
well.
Huh?
And blocking them because they
Yeah.
speak English too.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. Yeah, this guy not going to be missed on Twitter.
Nope. Nope.
I'm sure
absolutely
he'll come back in some way, shape, or form in a few weeks' time when shit's cooled down, and he'll continue his spewing of crap, calling people insects and talking absolute bollocks over the internet, and then blocking more people.
not. Yeah.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that she had to go through this,
Oh, absolutely.
considering it's a multi-billion-dollar franchise,
Yeah.
and the fact that Nintendo pretty much own the IP and they're not short of money.
Yeah. Not at all. But again, and what I said afterwards was just sounds like typical Nintendo to me. And it's not the first time they've done really stupid shit, Nintendo, because we know what they're like. Whether it be from the way that they charge for games, which never ever reduce in price, whether it be regards that they refuse to provide any up-to-date technology for their developers to create great games with, whether it be the way that they really don't care about anybody or anything, and they just won't be told. You can't demand better from Nintendo because they don't listen.
Yep. Nintendo fans, a lot of the Nintendo fanboys, they'll
Defend them.
they'll fight to the death for precious Nintendo. I mean, you have those fanboys in anything. I've seen some stupid fanboys talk shit about Xbox lately. Same other side of the fence. You just got these complete airheads on all sides, and they just need to shut up because they're annoying as fuck.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. So yes. Two wacky developer stories they covered. And the last strange story before we wrap up things is Meta Quest Pro. Wow. Wow. So, Meta, of course, or Oculus, as you used to know them, unveiled the Meta Quest Pro this week or last week with a rather outstanding price. $1,500 for the Meta Quest Pro VR headset. $1,500. Holy shit. Jen, is that something that you're interested
I'm not
in?
interested in VR, to be honest. Because that's fucking expensive. That's ridiculously expensive.
That is obscene.
What tech are they pushing in that to cost that much?
That shit better be 10K.
Mm.
It better be 10K.
That shit better play the game for me at that price.
Yeah. It better be 10K resolution with fucking 200 frames per second and fucking eye care built in and eye drops that moisten your eyeballs every fucking 10 minutes.
That shit better have like lens window cleaners built into it as well. Like, it stops it from steaming up and all that.
Yeah. It's,
yeah, that's crazy. Never thought I'd see the day when a VR headset costs that much.
No, I mean, when we've seen the price, obviously you've seen the price of HoloLens, but HoloLens is, at the moment, restricted to the likes of high-end businesses or military. And that's 4,000. But that's an AR headset. That is augmented reality that allows people to interact with their surroundings and virtual reality at the same time, so they can actually go about their jobs whilst using these awesome heads-up display that's kind of interactive. It's an entirely different thing. Entirely different. For VR to be 4 times more expensive than the previous Oculus Quest. 4 times.
That's weird as
Woo.
well, because didn't they just up the price of their last
Yes, by 100, I think it was.
headset? It's fucking weird. That's so weird. Why? Why now? After like what? It's not been that long since they price bumped the headset. Maybe 4 months,
Yeah.
and you're already announcing this
Like, who did
at
who are
that
they
price
aiming?
point? Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Who are they aiming this VR headset at? 1,500 quid. Like, I seen GoesseN jokingly put on the other day, do I? And he was like, I was like, don't. Other people
I
were
hope he
coaxing him into
doesn't.
do it. I was like, don't do it. Don't.
I'm sure his wife will have some questions
Yeah.
when 1,500 comes out of the bank.
For a fucking VR
Uh,
headset. Jesus Christ.
No VR headset is worth that price.
No. No. I'm even like I'd be shirking towards paying potentially 500-600 for the PSVR 2.
Yeah. I would not pay that price either for PSVR.
If your headset is more than your console, which it's looking likely it could be, because they keep putting off kind of unveiling that price, and it's meant to be coming out this year.
Yep. That surely doesn't come out this year.
Well, the games that were coming out for it were meant to be coming out this year as well, so they're gonna have to delay all their games as well as the headset.
Surely they would have announced it by now, right?
Well, they keep talking about it. They're just not unveiling the price. But either way, and I said this about the last PSVR 1, when that released and it was more expensive than the PlayStation 4, I already thought, absolutely not. I'm not paying more for a headset than I am the console it plays the games on.
Yeah.
And they're going to be doing the same thing again this time.
Weird.
Like, yes, they've already increased the price of the PlayStation 5 to whatever it is now, $550 or something close to that. If your headset comes in and matches that price, you're talking an all-in price of PSVR and the console before you get any games of 1,000 minimum. Now you telling me if you're getting a Oculus Quest Pro for 1,500 quid, what kind of machine are you going to require in order to run that at its optimal performance?
I wonder what the battery life for that thing is as well. That shit better run forever, because if I'm paying that price, that shit better not need to be charged.
Yeah. It's obscene. Absolutely obscene. But, hey, me and you both, PSVR is cool for certain things, but we both wouldn't invest in it. So, yeah.
I'm not really one for VR. I don't really see it going anywhere anytime soon.
No.
Maybe in 10 years' time, it'll be in a place where I'll be like, yep, I'll try it now. There's also the fact that I get motion sick with it, so I'm not really too fussed with trying VR again.
Yeah. See, I liked it, but I
The only
liked
VR
VR.
experience I've had is PSVR, and a lot of people say that's not a good first step, but I personally, after trying the PSVR, would not be willing to drop 500 quid on a VR headset to take that risk and go, I suffer with motion sickness, it's not for me, and then I have to sell it anyway.
Yep.
And I have to sell it at a loss. So
The only thing I like
it's
experiencing
not an
VR
investment I
for
want to take.
isn't gaming. Yeah, I think a VR headset would be cool for racing games. I think that'd be awesome. But I think for me personally, VR is at its best when you're experiencing things that you might not be able to otherwise, whether it be mental or whether it down to be physical health. Putting on a VR headset and being able to go on a safari, like an actual safari that's been recorded in like a super high definition 360 camera, and be able to just sit there on a safari in the middle of some tropical country and look around and with your headphone, like 3D audio, and just soak up the world and the atmosphere of everything that's going on around you without leaving your seat. Or like even one of the most entertaining things that I used to do on VR was get as many of these recorded 360 camera versions of roller coaster rides from around the world. Like, that was weird because you still felt all the drops when you go down them, you're like, oh shit, oh, fuck, I'm sitting down. Like I'm literally not anywhere. I'm in my house, and I still feel the drop when it goes down. It's so weird. But that's the entertaining stuff. That's the stuff that I love from VR. Is going and like watching all these awesome things that people have recorded themselves, or like if you're doing some kind of high speed racing or something like that, you sit in the car and kind of view it from that angle and just experience new things. Or if you've got a 360 camera like I do, be able to record things, and then when you come home and that person hasn't been or can't go, you can say, oh, put this on. Like I've recorded some awesome footage in 360, and you can literally experience it for yourself. Just put in the headphones and just enjoy. That's to me is the exciting thing about VR. Gaming wise, I can take it or leave it. Doesn't bother us.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I imagine that'd be good for like, for example, people like me. I suffer with public anxiety.
Yeah.
Those types of experiences would probably be a huge benefit to me.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
I could actually see that helping maybe like in terms of therapy.
Yeah.
So that could be something cool.
I tell
like,
you what else it does
VR.
though. Which is really especially if you love horrors. Especially if you love horrors. These immersive 360 VR horror experiences you can get on, fuck me, you can't escape them. Yes, playing a horror game is one thing, but when it's one of these immersive experiences where it's kind of on rails and you've got no choice but to just sit there and deal with it, and you're like, I need to close my eyes. You're like, fuck this, because when you open your eyes, it's like you're there. You're like, oh no, none of this, I don't like this. That's
Yeah.
what
A lot of
VR
my
is
like
good at.
struggles with VR though is like feeling disorientated when
Yeah.
coming out of VR, because
And that's the thing that I found the difference between VR experiences for like pre-recorded video things versus gameplay. So the pre-recorded video aspects of it, I was never ever disorientated, and everything was awesome. And obviously with your headphones on, you can hear the 3D audio from when it was recorded. And of course, the vast majority of cameras these days have all-encompassing audio, so it picks up from multi-directions. So that's something that never disorientated me. But as soon as you go into gaming, it's an entirely different thing, because it's based on where you look and how the game is built, etc. Whereas cameras only ever record in like what the human eye sees, at the pace the human eye sees it.
yeah, gaming does definitely disorientate me though when I am in VR, because coming out of like a space in gaming and your mind's been tricked into thinking it's somewhere else,
Yeah.
it definitely takes a moment to adjust.
Yeah.
And that's another thing that puts me off of investing into another VR headset.
Yeah. I mean, like I say, I would probably get maybe the Quest 2 or something like that, one of them ones, when it's come down in price, just for the video experience. Nothing else. Like, I've still got my 360 camera, so I can still essentially record as much stuff as I want and upload it and play it on the Quest and be able to show people what it was like. That's an awesome thing of that. And 360 VR cameras are pretty cheap.
Yeah, there definitely are some cool experiences you can do in
Yeah.
VR, but
1,500 quid? Absolutely not.
personally, I'm not into spending. I'm not even into spending 500 quid for it, to be honest.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Bonkers. Absolutely bonkers. But Jen, we've managed to wrap up a 2-hour show. Jesus Christ, how have we done that? Awesome show again today, Jen. Great to have you back. Great to have you back.
Yeah, it's good to be back podcasting after feeling a bit out of whack over the last week and a bit.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely, absolutely. You know, it's great. It's great to just switch off for a bit and just go and relax and just enjoy the things you love talking about, and that's gaming. Because sometimes we spend so much time creating content that we don't actually get enough time to actually just sit and enjoy something without streaming it or making something.
Yeah, that's what I loved about the last few days, just disconnecting from making content, and I've made adjustments to my schedule, and I won't be setting any times for my future streams, but Mondays, Tuesdays, and Saturdays are definite stream days. Just depends on what time I decide to stream on those days.
Yeah,
No,
absolutely.
no more midnight streams for me unless it's something real special,
Yeah,
like a midnight launch for a specific game I'm excited for. Yeah, I'm getting excited for Call of Duty. I really am. We get to play that on the 20th, I think, campaign wise. I think
Oh,
it's
right,
the
okay.
20th.
right.
So yeah, I'm getting hyped for that. Proper excited to play that because after playing the beta, I was all in
After
on that
playing a
game.
lot of hours in the beta.
I think it must have been almost an entire day. I played that beta
Well,
for
you
in
played
total.
more than me, and I played 15 hours.
I must be somewhere like at least 20 hours.
At least 20 to 22 hours, I would think, because you definitely played more than me.
And then there was that one night where we just streamed for 7 hours, and that
Yeah.
was a blast.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was awesome. But again, that's what we miss, and it's again having a party full of people that also enjoy it and love it. And we know now that there's enough people that'll be playing it for us to potentially always or quite frequently be getting parties of 4, full teams of 4 playing the game, which is how it should be enjoyed.
I'm glad Call of Duty, at least Modern Warfare, is decent this year because the last few CODs have been. I played Black Ops Cold War because it was a game I gifted for my dad for Christmas. Didn't go much on that. Didn't bother with Vanguard.
Yeah.
My dad didn't want it for Christmas. He played the beta, couldn't stand it. So yeah, I'm excited to get back into a Call of Duty game that I actually enjoy playing.
Yeah. Yeah. Same, to be honest, I'm really intrigued to see how this this campaign goes and how good the campaign is. But I'm more than anything, I'm looking forward to the online and to seeing all the maps. Because we were like, even though we were limited, we were having so much fun in the 15 hours plus that we put into that multiplayer across only a couple of maps.
A few problems we had with people being thrown out of matchmaking after we'd already had a decent game.
Yeah.
Even then, we still had a lot of fun.
Yeah. And even unlimited maps, like I'm saying, and we know there's going to be an abundance of different maps to play on and different game modes and actually level up weapons and get their equipment in order and get skins that we enjoy and kind of make ourselves stand out a bit instead of being these set people. Or I'm looking forward to kind of getting back into it again. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait to play multiplayer on the 28th and campaign on the 20th.
Yes.
Proper excited.
It's going to be good. It's going to be good. But Jen, of
and
course.
I think there's going to be campaign DLC for that, according to. I think there's been some talks about there being campaign DLC.
That'll be interesting.
Don't quote me on that because I'm not 100% sure. But obviously, we know there's no Call of Duty next year, so that kind of does make sense.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised.
That'll be interesting. But yes, Jen. Let the fine people know where they can find you, of course, and yeah, of course, you've said where you're streaming, but let people know where they can find you streaming.
Yep, you can find me streaming here on YouTube. If you go to my channel, when I leave a comment in here, I just put hello. As you just click on my name and it goes to my channel.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be streaming tomorrow, starting God of War. Not 100% sure what time I'll be streaming tomorrow. It'll be somewhere between 6 to 8 is when I will go live.
Yes.
UK time.
Sweet.
And back here for See You Tuesdays. Oh, we're actually got a new name for that. I'm not sure if you've announced that yet.
Yes.
So I won't say anything.
No, it's See You Tuesdays Playcast. So yes, it's we're waiting for a lovely new intro video from Sean Labrie to kind of get that going properly. But soon as that's in, then it'll be the full changeover to See You Tuesday's playcast, which will cross over an awesome gameplay stream like we do every week. But we'll be having kind of occasional guests from the Sea of Thieves community and or developers, fingers crossed, to talk about, of course, Sea of Thieves, and just have a kind of a mini podcast in between actually playing the game with that particular guest as well. So it's going to be interesting. We already have a lot of fun on Tuesdays when we play Sea of Thieves, so adding that extra little element to it's just going to make it even more fun, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I'm inching closer to Pirate Legend, so
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that.
Absolutely. If we keep doing the hauls like we did the other day and things like that, you'll be there in no time.
And it's good to get back to having 2 ships as well.
Yes. Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Although it was a bit of a pain in the butt last week because it was a struggle to get the 2 ships.
Yep. Nah, it's good fun though. It's good fun. But
But yeah,
awesome
other
stuff.
than Sea of Tuesdays, back here Wednesday. Not going to be streaming Thursdays and Fridays. Going to be days where I'm focusing on probably video content, and Friday is probably going to be just a day off.
Yep.
I spend unwinding, probably playing a single player game, or probably not even gaming at all, watching some TV, and then obviously back here on Sunday.
Sweet. That's awesome stuff. Awesome. Yes, and of course, the link should be in the description, as well as, of course, if you have a look at Jen in chat, you'll be able to go straight to his channel. Make sure you drop a subscription there. And, of course, like and share this out. You can find me everywhere at WandrinDutch, of course, on Twitter, and an abbreviated version on Xbox, and, of course, on here at the WandrinDutch. If you already don't subscribe, please make sure you hit that subscribe button and like and share this out. For those of you on demand, hope you enjoyed the show as well. And a shout out to everybody who watched the show today, whether or not you were just lurking in the background or you were in chat like Joshua James or Stuff Sean or Phantosir or Marion the Mad, Muppet, Patcher, of course, who jumped in earlier on there. Who else? Xbox International. I'm sure there was more. Studos, who's probably been drifting around in there as well whilst he's been playing games. RSJ fan, Andrew Cullinane. Who else? I'm sure there's more. There's probably more. If I missed you out, apologies, but I hope you enjoyed the show this evening. Of course, like I say, if you enjoyed it, please like, share, and subscribe. But until Tuesday, for the Sea of Tuesdays, we will see you all again next time. Have an awesome evening. Enjoy gaming and remaining time before back to work tomorrow. That's unless you've got a day off, of course, then I'm jealous. Otherwise, see you all again next time. Have an awesome evening and goodbye.
See you later, chat.